Opinions mostly. Welcome, everyone that watches the program. We are happy to have you here. We have a special episode of Opinions Mostly. I promised this guy weeks and months and days ago, if he ever had a Thursday off, he'd be welcome on the program. And then ironically, we do our show on a Tuesday. So we're following through on the promise here. I introduce everyone to Macaroni. Yeah.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Mac, who are you?
Who
Why are
am
you
I?
here?
Why am I here? Because we've been talking so much football in Discord that I'm pretty sure our friends want to strangle both of us, and we need a place where we can talk about it without
We need
fear
a,
for our lives.
what you're saying is we need a safe space,
Safe space, just
safer
more like
space.
a safer space, more like a personal palace.
Okay, there we go.
How's that? How's that?
I like that idea. For those that don't know, which is probably everyone that's watching this, met Mac in the Discord channel for video game nerds and people that play MMORPGs alike, such as World of Warcraft and Golf with Friends. Well, I guess that's not MMORPG, but you get the
The
picture.
greatest MMO, Golf with Friends. I like that.
The shit
I like
talking in
that.
the Discord when you golfing.
Absolutely. It's just a shit posting Discord where we just get together and talk and play. I mean, that's what it is.
And
That's
post
what it
memes and
is.
reels and recipes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mac, where do you reside?
I'm in Florida, South Florida, born and raised,
Oh,
brother.
okay.
What do you mean, ah?
Is it safe to say you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan?
Oh, God, no. I mean, to be fair, I do respect Tampa Bay Buccaneers a little more than I respect the Jacksonville Jaguars. But no, based on the gear that I totally didn't thrift or steal from a homeless person, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan.
Miami
Okay, I
Dolphins.
even
Okay.
got my Tua jersey on. Up, the background decided to blur that out for copyright infringement purposes. That's very, very kind of it. I don't want to get copyright strikes.
Mac, give me a
Uh,
hot take on how the Dolphins season went.
it went about as well as I expected it. So before the season started, there was a lot of rumblings internally. There was a lot of rumblings even um, within the beat all the beat writers, Omar Kelly, Alain Poport. Basically, they were talking about how this season might not be as flashy, might not be as good. It might end up being a transition season. It might be a rebuild season. There were just stuff talking about there's underlying injuries we had. Obviously, you come into the season, you're coming with Jalen Phillips coming off of injury, Bradley Chubb coming off of injury. We traded away Christian Wilkins to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Mhm.
We traded away Robert Hunt, our star guard, over to the Carolina Panthers. We traded away Andrew Van Ginkel, or let him walk rather, to the Minnesota Vikings. You're talking about defensive overhaul. You're talking about a brand new defensive coordinator in Anthony Weaver. You're talking about start fresh
You're,
almost.
you're talking about players getting arrested going to the game.
Tyreek Hill in handcuffs on the way to the game, which is that was the craziest story. And that he just, that's a whole other thing. Come to find out, he had problems with his wrist all year. Apparently, he had broken it or it was fractured. His
Handcuffs
his
were too
agent
tight.
handcuffs are too tight. Now, you know what it was? I think it's what Drew Rosenhaus said, who's his agent, basically said, hey, he was playing with a broken wrist. He talked to Tyreek before the season started. He talked to Tyreek going into week one and said, listen, you need season ending surgery. You realistically need season ending surgery. If you get
Hmm.
it, it'll be better for your wrist, but you're not going to play. And the competitor that Tyreek Hill is, he wasn't going to do that. And I think it affected his game. He had a lot of drops this year, um, especially during the San Francisco game. Two
Ah,
drops in the end zone, landed in his hands, just dropped the ball. He was playing with bricks for hands all season. And if you know anything about wrist injuries, trying to flex your hand with the wrist, you can't do it. So, it was exactly what the season with what some people had hopes for. I think they were just blinded by, hey, this could be the transition year. This could be a rebuilding year. Obviously, Tua knocking himself out on DeMar Hamlin's shoulder was just kind of a sense of what it was. I think it highlighted a lot of weaknesses that the Miami Dolphins have as a whole rather than player individuality. People like to say, well, Tua is not good enough to be a starter in the NFL. A lot of people say Tua is not the guy. Well, this season proved that when he's not on that field, the Miami Dolphins are the worst team in NFL football.
Yeah, to Tyreek's point though, I mean,
Hmm.
with the wrist and playing wide receiver,
Yeah.
if you get a you get a piece of wood or something, tape it just to keep the hand firm, and then Tua could just strategically throw the ball into his armpit, close the arm, ball is caught. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we could talk about the go route, the go ball. He just has to extend his arm out,
Yeah.
plops right into his chest,
I mean, this was the first time I
successful
saw.
catch.
Yeah, this was the first time all season, or if the last three seasons we've had Tyreek Hill, I've seen Tua overthrow Tyreek Hill. That's not somebody who can overthrow. First of all, I've never
The
seen
cheetah.
any NFL quarterback overthrow somebody that fast. You know,
Yeah, the cheetah.
Patrick, even Patrick Mahomes never overthrew the cheetah.
Mhm.
So it just goes to show that, he was probably dealing with more on the back end than he wanted to talk about. And that's okay. Again, when you're a competitor like that, when you are one of the biggest names in football, Tyreek Hill is, you do not want to seem like, oh yeah, I'm out of step or I'm getting tired, I'm getting old. He's 31, he's going to be 32, I think. He's coming off of two separate seasons. He had over 1,700 yards. Um, he led the NFL in receiving yards. One of those years, I think Justin Jefferson overtook him last year, just by like maybe 30 yards. So, but again, the season, as ugly as it was, it's good that it happened the way it did. It's gonna it's gonna make this next coming season better.
Looking at Tyreek's contract here, we got another 2 years left on it on that
Yep,
3-year, $90 million extension he signed prior to last season.
yep.
So there is that.
Hmm.
A lot of speculation that he would leave the team. Looks like he's not going to be leaving the team.
Yeah, he came out and he talked about it. He went on the Kay Adams show, and he talked very,
For
very open.
just for us people that aren't local Floridians, the Kay Adams
Yeah,
show is the local radio show for the Miami Dolphins down there.
no, no. Kay Adams is she works for ESPN, maybe Good Morning Football. I could be wrong on one of those, but basically he went on there and he was taught. She was asked questions. It's like what was going through your mind, what was going on with, the comments you made at the end of the season. You were done. You just wanted out. You said I'm
Hmm.
done. And he backtracked immediately, and he said he spoke, with emotion, and I can understand how somebody who's very competitive like that, somebody who came from a winning standard, winning culture, you won a Super Bowl
Hmm.
with the Kansas City Chiefs. You have one of the best quarterbacks, of our time. It may go down in history as one of the best quarterbacks ever in Patrick
Hmm.
Mahomes. You come to Miami. Miami is for the last couple of years, been a fringe playoff team,
Hmm.
and when you come through that in 3 years and you haven't won a playoff game, you've seen your quarterback go down 2 seasons, whether and you talk highly about him, you tout him as one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. When you make statements like that, when you have that belief, you do set yourself up for getting disappointed. You set yourself up for getting hurt, and I think that it just boiled over. You know,
Yeah. Drew Rosenhaus was on the McAfee show when they traveled to the Orange Bowl for that
yeah,
bowl game. And Rosenhaus said the same thing. They asked about Tyreek in his comments, and he's like, look, it was a heat of the moment post game.
yeah,
They had to win that game to potentially get into the playoffs, and they find out halfway through the third quarter, win, lose, or draw, it's not going to matter.
yeah,
Bunch of people also defended him on the morning talk show, saying like former athletes, at least, they're saying the same thing. Heat of the moment, you go run three 500-yard dashes, and then someone asks you a trivia question. Your brain isn't going to process correctly,
no,
No, it's not. Post game, heat of the moment. It's the same situation when it's like maybe something like Russell Wilson loses against the Ravens in that wild card game, and then I don't know if anyone did, but I'm sure someone in the post game scrum when he went to the podium is like, Russ, any thoughts on coming back to the Steelers next season? It's like, come on, man, we just lost a playoff game. Like that is the
yeah.
furthest thing from my my head right now, right? You
Yep.
know, yeah,
Yep.
kind of, or like someone asking Travis Kelce post Super Bowl. He did not interview after the game, but it's like same things. Like someone asks him any consideration for retirement. I guarantee he would give a response like, "Bro, we just lost the fucking Super Bowl. Okay, I'm not even thinking about retirement or Tay Tay right now. Okay, let's be
Yeah,
honest here.
exactly. And I think that's the reporters just doing their job, at the end of the day, because
They
they are the
want to be the
media.
first one to ask him. That's the
Yeah, they
thing,
want to be the first one to ask that burning question. Are you coming back to the team? What do you think? Is your quarterback this, quarterback that? It's where they think it's the best way to do it is right post media. I mean, you ask any quarterback, you ask any player after a bad loss,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
what happened on this play? And you might not get a very, media friendly response. You might get, yeah, it was trash. Like, what?
One of my favorite media responses was when it was in the NBA playoffs, 7 game series, and the
Hmm.
Clippers go down like 3-1 or something like that. And they have to go on the road, win, and then they had to come back and win. And the reporter asks Chris Paul, Chris, is this a must-win game coming up? He's like, why are you asking that? What do you think? We're 1 game away from being eliminated. Why are you asking if this is a must-win game? Do you want me to say no? It's not a must-win game. We're just going to roll over and let them win. Come on,
Yep.
man. It's like do your job better.
Yep.
um, looking at the Finns here, what are the
Mhm.
biggest offseason needs besides a more tougher helmet for Tua to wear?
So again, I don't think that a helmet for Tua is gonna make a difference. Tua was using the same helmet this past season that he used the year prior where he put on some weight and he played all 18 games. In fact,
Hmm.
the only time he missed during the games was because the Dolphins were blowing out their opponents so hard that in the fourth quarter he just sat on the bench, kind of chilled. You had Mike White come in, and
You can always trust White.
that, well, no, you couldn't because we obviously got rid of him, and I don't know how Skylar Thompson won that third string job, but we traded Skylar Thompson over to with the Steelers, and hey, best of luck to him. He'll be a great clipboard holder over there. Much respect to him. He was fun to watch
Uh-huh.
during the first preseason that he started. He connected with Ezukama, another wide receiver on our depth chart. He was fun to watch. And a lot of people thought, oh, this is a perfect backup. This is a guy that can step in. Tua gets hurt. He's gonna lead us to the promise. No, he cannot. He cannot.
Yeah, he played
Um,
that wild card game in Buffalo a couple of years back, right?
yeah, the defense carried him. If you look at his stat line, I
I'm just
think,
saying he played in it. I'm just saying he
yeah, he
played in
played.
it.
No, he played in it. I think if you had Tua there with that defense, you win. Um, just because of the way it is. I mean, it's very difficult. It's very difficult when you have a left-handed quarterback going down, and all your
You go there,
plays
right?
are built off of the lefty. And
Bootlegging
now
for the
you're switching.
left-hander. Yeah.
Yeah, now you're playing for a right. Now you have a right-hander coming in. That's crazy talk. That's just you're changing motions. You're changing everything. And when you have somebody as smart and offensive minded as Mike McDaniel, I mean, you are talking about a complete. You're talking about complicated, play calling, complicated everything. You're talking about something that you don't just walk in. It's like I got a coach. No, you're talking about practice upon practice upon practice. But to go back to your original question, does he need a stronger helmet? What does the Dolphins need? I think uh, I think we need to shore up the guard position on the line.
Yeah,
I think you could look.
get in line.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to get the line. I saw Matt Stafford running for his life all season. He took some really, really harsh
Hey,
hits. I mean,
hey, we got healthy the last 4 weeks, all right? And he didn't
yes, you
get
did.
hit. He did not
No, he
get
didn't.
hit during that stretch.
No, I mean he did against the Eagles, but the Eagles are just
Yeah,
incredibly good. Their front four is
they're
incredible.
only the Super Bowl champion, so
Only. Well, but touching on that, the guard position is very important. Obviously, very early in the season, we lost Austin Jackson, our starting
mm,
right tackle, and he's very, very good. If you look at his stats from the season 2023, 2024, he was the best starting right tackle that we had. I think he was
mhm.
within the top 10 in the NFL, which is crazy considering he was, as a draft prospect, he was considered a bust really early on. He
Oh
was
yeah.
terrible. He was like a revolving door. And then he shed off a lot of weight off of him, and then he just boomed. So, um, We need a better right guard. Obviously, Liam Eichenberg, he's been that right guard spot for a long time. And I understand that I understand you keep players that you have faith in, but with all due respect, he's more of a liability than anything. And when you have a left-handed quarterback, it's in the NFL, it's very standard to have the left side be the toughest side because everybody's a right-hander.
The
That's your
blind
blind
side.
side. Why is it when you have a left-handed quarterback that your right side is your weakest side on your O line? That doesn't make sense to me.
You said standard?
The pretty standard, if you think
Okay.
about it.
Okay.
That's like the biggest standard, brother.
I think the burning question that all football fans have that are not Dolphins fans,
Yeah.
how come when it gets below 70 degrees, the Dolphins forget how to play football?
You know what? That's a good question. I think the best answer I could put out to that is there needs to be some kind of there needs to be accountability for the conditionings coaches. For whatever reason, it shouldn't matter whether or not you play in a cold climate or a warm climate. Obviously, there are teams from down south that do have tougher times playing in the cold because they're not used to it. But if you have a good conditionings coach, that shouldn't matter. That shouldn't, you should be able to rise above conditions, especially when at the end of the day, conditions are, you could play them to your benefit. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins have the sun. It's very difficult for northern teams
You put
to
the
come.
damn visitors bench in the damn sun.
Yeah. Well, why
What the
wouldn't you do that?
hell?
I mean, listen, to go back to 2022, 2023 season, everybody was melting on the Bills sideline. That was our first win against the Buffalo Bills in 7 seasons. And that is our only win against the Buffalo Bills in 7 seasons. And, it's just, would you have that? You have to take away the advantage of your opponents. And I think that as a conditionings coach or even just as an organization, say, hey, guys, we're going to play in Kansas City, you know, for example, it's gonna be -10. Hey, we're gonna fly out there 4 days early, and you guys are gonna go outside, and you're gonna have a snowball fight in your shorts, and you guys are gonna get used to this cold. You're gonna get used to this weather because we're gonna you're gonna have to play through this. It's gonna get worse, and you have to get used to it.
I don't know why we have to do that, considering the division or the Dolphins are in, where they got to play a
Mhm.
three outside uh, fields anyway. New York, Jersey, the swamp, Buffalo and New England. That's kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
hmm No, I agree with you. I mean, the thing is, though, is the Miami Dolphins, for whatever reason, I mean, we play really, really well against the New York Jets, even in MetLife. We play really well against New England Patriots, even in Gillette Stadium, even when it's cold. We don't have issues playing against them. It's just Orchard Park is extremely difficult to play against. The Buffalo Bills, listen, I got to give credit to the Buffalo Bills fans. It doesn't matter how they're doing. They
The
pack the
Loud House.
stadium. It's very, very loud. I think they're like one of the top five loudest stadiums to play in. I cannot imagine as quarterback, as a play caller, to try to get any of those plays off in that kind of stadium. So credit to them where credit is due. I have a lot of respect for the Buffalo Bills organization. I have a lot of respect for them as a team. They know what they're doing, and while it doesn't seem like they're getting over the hump yet, to get to that Super Bowl, you got to respect what they do.
You talk about teams that can't play in in the weather. Looking at the SEC here, man. Looking
Yeah,
at the SEC.
yeah, it's yeah. Again, that's the same thing. I think it comes down to conditioning coaches. I think it just comes down to using your brain. I mean, hey, if you're going to go play in a foreign climate at that point, a climate you're not used to, a climate where, all right, you're used to getting up and it's 75 degrees outside, and then suddenly you're going to a place where you get up and you're shoveling snow off your car. I think you should really account for that, and you need to acclimate to that a little bit better because
I'm
it's obviously going to be a thing.
Yeah, the we had the Tennessee Volunteers go into the Buckeye Stadium for the Ohio State game. They got the doors blowing on. They just looked at the cold effect. I'm not seeing Georgia going up to Notre Dame in a playoff game and winning and beating Notre Dame on the road in those elements. No way in hell. No way in hell. I digress. I'm making a pitch that I
Mhm.
think the Buffalo Bills should be America's new team. Right now, the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. I think we're all past that. It's overplayed. And Jerry is
Mm,
just a walking carnival, essentially. I
yeah.
think the Buffalo Bills should be America's new team. America's team, Buffalo Bills.
I think that we could argue that the Buffalo Bills should be America's team. I don't disagree with that. Although if I were to put in my 2 cents, I think right now, obviously, I think maybe it should be the Eagles.
Oh
The
God,
Eagle. I
no!
mean, listen, we're
Stop.
talking about. Listen, I'll say this as long as it is again. Nick Sirianni. He's kind of one of those coaches that seems like a douche. He really
He looks like a
does.
big dumb dipshit. You know,
Yeah, but you know
maybe he's
what?
not
You
a
gotta
big dumb dipshit.
maybe he's not. I mean, obviously he's winning games. I mean, he's got a team behind him. He just won the Super Bowl. He just beat the best team in football, the team that everybody thought the first circle of hell was opening up underneath them. Taylor Swift was gonna, get proposed to by Travis Kelce because of this three-peat. She'd come out with a new hit single in a month called Three-Peat or Football Guy or something like that. And you know what? They came out there and they absolutely dominated the Chiefs all game. That was the equivalent of belt to ass. That is mom saying, "You wait till your father gets home." And the Philadelphia Eagles were father. They came home and whew, that was a shellacking from the just Chiefs couldn't get anything going. And the scoreboard really doesn't tell the tale because you look at it as like, oh, they only lost by 18. It's like, yeah, but they were down by 27 for a good portion of the game. They went into the half down 27 to nothing. I mean, three garbage time touchdowns does nothing to do it. It's like, okay, cool, you could do that. And the only reason why he got those garbage time touchdowns is because the game was so far gone. Philadelphia had their fourth stringers and Kenny Pickett out there. I mean, come on.
Hey, Kenny Pickett, better put some respect to that name. Super Bowl champion. All
I bet
right,
you Matt is
Super Bowl
just so
champion
excited to see
Kenny
Kenny Pickett.
Pickett. Hey, you know what? Uh, Mike Tomlin drafted a Super Bowl winning coach or quarterback.
Yeah, good for him. It's not on his team.
Um,
That's
you know,
because of
we
the
got
culture.
a we got Dan Orlovsky, claiming to be Mr. Philadelphia, throwing rocks from his glass house on the hill here, calling for
Right.
Sirianni's job week 6, into the season and stuff.
hmm
um,
I mean, I think Sirianni is a very polarizing quarterback. He's a
yeah,
very polarizing
yeah,
coach, and
yeah.
I don't think you could take away from that. I think he's definitely somebody who does put his foot in his mouth a lot. He definitely seems like the kind of guy that's easy to brag on, but at the end of the day, he just took his team to the Super Bowl. He, defeated a team that took him out, 2 years prior, and you have to give him credit where credit's due. He helped call an amazing game. He got those guys ready. He and the GM Howie Roseman. I mean, they set up for an amazing team. I mean, the Eagles, if they keep playing the way they are, they're set for life. They're the NFC North, or they're the NFC juggernaut.
Look who's arguing with the fans now.
Yeah.
I think the next stadium. I think the next statue they should build outside of the stadium is a statue of Howie Roseman for keeping this team together and retooling it when they were down in the shitters last season with the coaching staff and the aura in the locker room, the vibes and everything. You
Yep.
bring in Kellen Moore and your old defensive coordinator, and trying to remember his fucking name
Vic
now.
Fangio.
Vic
Yep.
Fangio, big Dick Vic to
Yep.
Philadelphia, and look what happened. Well, now you just lost Sirianni. They just lost Sirianni now, so or not Sirianni, Kellen Moore, but
Well, I
um,
mean but that's what happens. You win a Super Bowl, you're extremely hireable. I mean, or look at let's talk about the Detroit Lions real quick. They just dismantled their coaching tree
yeah.
because they went what 15-2,
Hmm.
and then they laid an egg against Washington. But I think that was just the bell come. I think that was just everything coming up, those injuries, the laundry list of
13 players on
injuries.
IR.
Yeah, and the fact that you listen, Dan Campbell probably had players out there on defense that he didn't even know their fucking name. You're
Yeah, talking
talking
Dan
about.
Campbell, another meathead coach guy, like
I
another
love
out
Dan
there guy.
Campbell. A lot of respect for Dan Campbell. He was a Dolphins interim head coach for a short period of time. We got rid of him mid-season. He was given garbage to work with. I'm glad he's succeeding over there. I have a lot of respect for Dan Campbell.
um, Going back to the Super Bowl here, I think
Yep.
the Eagles cracked the code for how to beat the Chiefs. You got to get
Hmm.
there on four. You got to
Yep.
get there with four. And my God, it was a beauty to watch. And to
Yep.
your point, we discussed previously on the episode who are uh, way too early Super Bowl favorites are for next season, coming out of the
Hmm.
NFC and the AFC. I settled on the Eagles, of
Yep.
course. Like you said, they're built. I mean, if everyone is paid and no one needs to be paid for the next couple of years, Jalen Hurts is on a reasonable quarterback contract, not getting
Yeah.
paid 60 million a year like some other guy down there in the quote unquote America's team. And I think they're built, assuming no injuries and whatnot, they look good.
Yep.
In the AFC, I picked the Buffalo Bills get over the
Hmm.
hump. So, what is your way too early Super Bowl predictions of teams that
Way
will be
too
good?
early. Who? You know what? I'm actually gonna go with a very, very controversial pick. Now, the NFC, I'm split between the Lions or the Eagles. Obviously, I think the Lions, if they were healthy, I think they go to the Super Bowl over the Eagles. Just
Mhm.
defensively, they were so just destroyed. Their O line was starting to get
I would have
hurt.
loved to see that game, Detroit versus Philly. Ooh,
Oh
that would have
God,
been a game of the year
that
candidate.
game would have fed families for
Yeah,
generations. It would have been fantastic. It would have been one of the best games of the season. But I'm gonna go way, way, way too early, and I'm not gonna pick my own team because
I didn't
that's
either.
like no,
None of
I
us
don't think
did. None of us did.
no because you don't want to curse your own team. That's a reverse jinx. That's I'm not about that. But with the pieces that they have, with the fact that they're coming out of the hole that they were in, they finally have a quarterback, and they haven't had a really, really good quarterback since the legendary man himself retired. And both him and his brother are no longer in the league. I'm picking the Denver Broncos to go to the Super Bowl because,
What?
yep, just because they are only a couple pieces away from being a powerhouse.
Well, they do have the
Because
defensive player of the year.
they do have Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, listen, they are absolutely one of those teams where last you could ask me last offseason, what team is doing nothing this year? What team is going 4-13? I picked the Denver Broncos. I thought it was going to be a huge rebuild year with Bo Nix. I thought they weren't going to do anything. They came out. Bo Nix is a real deal. He's a real dude. They get a couple more playmakers for him to throw to, a better running back other than who's the running back over there? Um,
McLaughlin.
who? Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, you get him a real running back, you get him an O line and just shore up those couple of pieces on the O line. You're talking about a heavyweight battle that within their division they could give the Chiefs some runs for the money, because the only reason why the Chiefs beat them is a blocked field goal.
So
So
you're saying the Broncos will beat the Bills
yes,
in a head-to-head
yep,
matchup
yep,
with the Bills having home field.
yeah. That didn't happen this year, but again, they're pieces away. Listen,
Oh.
let's talk about the Bills
We're
for a minute.
talking 20 breaks minimum, including Cincy missing the playoffs again.
Uh-huh. Listen, the Cincinnati Bengals may never get back to the dance. The AFC is becoming too stacked of a conference to really have anybody have the overall. This is a gimme. This is a gimme. Every single division is getting tougher for the people within the division. You're not the NFC South. The NFC South has four teams. You can go 7-9, all four teams go 7-9, and then it's going to be a tiebreaker off of that. Tom Brady's last season, he got into the playoffs as an 8-9 on the
I know.
Bucks. That's how bad that division is. Can you safely say in every single division in the AFC that there is not at least two teams or even three teams that are playoff teams?
Yeah, AFC South is the only one. They only have one playoff team, and that's the Texans. And you can almost say that's just by default with the way that
That's
division
by
is set
default.
up.
That's by default. All right, cool. So you take him. You look at the AFC East. You had the Buffalo Bills are definitely a playoff team. The Miami Dolphins are a fringe playoff team. I like what the Patriots are doing. I still think they're a year away
Not
from
there yet.
relevancy. They're not there
Hmm.
yet. It depends on what the Jets do. I think if the Jets get a good quarterback or they figure it out, they might be another
That's a
fringe
5-year
playoff team.
project, Matt. Let's be
That's
honest.
a lot of yeah.
That's a
Listen,
5-year project.
I think we should touch on that more next. But all right, so two teams in the AFC East. Let's go up to AFC North. I mean, come
Hmm.
on, that's
Hmm.
fun.
I
except for the Cleveland
understand.
Browns. They're not having fun. They're about to lose Myles Garrett too. So,
Yeah.
but you have three teams that are playoff teams. You have
Uh-huh.
Cincinnati Bengals, the Ravens, and definitely the Steelers. Those Yinzers out there will cling to hope, but it is the culture. It's as long as Mike Tomlin gets his winning record, that's all that matters. 8, 9, 10, and 7, first round exit. That's where they're going.
Okay. And AFC West?
AFC West. So the AFC West, that's Chiefs. It's obviously the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Broncos. Again, Chiefs. Yes, I mean Chiefs are going to be a juggernaut for a long time. They lose Travis Kelce, I think Travis Kelce's starting to get too old. You could replace him with a pretty good tight end. There's some good tight ends on that market. You can give some calls to. Um, you have the Chargers. Chargers are doing pretty well for what it's worth with Harbaugh.
Jim
You know, I
Harbaugh,
was
baby.
I will say this though, they have not learned how to not charger themselves. I mean, you can look over the last few years. It's just the Chargers have a really good quarterback prospect in Justin Herbert. I have a lot of respect for that quarterback, but until he wins a game, you know, listen, there's a lot of comparisons out there to Justin Herbert and Tua Tagovailoa. They're the same quarterback until somebody wins.
Now, this is where I disagree with you on that.
Okay,
Um, I think there's levels to this. The Chargers did stop charging this season to an extent. Now
until they got to the playoffs.
they absolutely chargered in the playoff game. I will give you that 120%, my guy.
They've done it
No
twice.
questions that. But, there's levels because there's
Yeah.
numerous games in the regular season that they
Hmm.
had to dechargeify before they
Yeah.
can, and Jim
Yep.
Harbaugh, like I said, it's steps. So, next year they're going to win one playoff game. And then the season after that, they're going to win two playoff games. Season after that, they're going to win a Super Bowl. I mean,
Hmm.
we're on a five-step progress here with
This is
the
a five step
Chargers.
plan.
Yes, with Jim Harbaugh at the realm, yeah,
Okay.
100%, man.
Okay.
So you're saying the Broncos are going to overtake all these teams you're just talking about?
No, I don't think the Broncos have to overtake. The Broncos could come in at the 5 seed and make some noise.
Oh my God.
I think as long as they don't get the 7th seed, I think they're fine. I think you get a middle seed, even the or even the 6th seed. You get the 5th or 6th seed. I think you go and do some damage because head to head, they going in there. 5th or 6th seed, they're going to go up against somebody like the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to catch Lamar on his Lamar playoff type of game, and he's going to overtake them. I mean, listen, like I said, they're pieces away. But I feel like they're more relevant than people like to give them credit for.
I agree with
And
you
this
that
season proved that.
I 100% agree with you on that. Living in Denver, it's eat, breathe, sleep Bronco football 20
Yep.
365 days a year round. Yeah, I had them. So the first two games when they lost to the Seattle Seahawks, and then I forget their second game, but yeah, Bo Nix looked completely lost in that first game. The
Yeah,
Seahawks
he
had
was
like
Mo Picks during that
Mo,
time.
yeah, Mo picks. Yeah, he had like three INTs, and I was like, this is gonna be a rough season for the
Yeah,
Broncos. I was like, 5 wins, maybe if they get to that, and then all of a sudden, just flip flop,
picked it
turned all
up.
the way around. So all the credit to Bo Nix and the Broncos in general. I don't disagree. I think you're all right about a couple of pieces out. Cortland Sutton's a nice wide receiver. I don't think he's the go ball guy that
No.
like Tyreek or whoever or Pickens. I
Yeah.
think if they can get a go ball guy in the draft, that'd be good. If they can get a good receiving tight end, that'd be good.
Hmm.
Um, oh yeah. So to your point with the Bengals, so they had to lease out the stadium, the naming rights to the stadium to pay Burrow, and then they had to build an indoor practice facility and potentially lease out the name of the practice facility to pay Jamar Chase potentially. That's to be. I think they're gonna have to lease out the name of the parking garage at this point to do some fundraising here. To
Well, they
keep their
have to.
players.
Well, that's the thing is you're talking about, they still got to pay T. Higgins, or
I
or
think
they
he's
have to
gone.
attempt to. I
I
think
think
I
he's
think T.
gone.
Higgins is going to take a contract somewhere else. T. Higgins is a wide receiver two on that team, but he's not wide receiver two on a lot of teams. He's wide receiver one.
I think he goes
He
to the Packers or the Panthers.
Packers, the Panthers. I think if they're aggressive enough, with the cap space that they have, I think he goes to the Patriots. Patriots have the
Yeah.
most cap space heading into the season, over
Hmm.
$91 million free cap space. So
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
they are going to be buyers this entire offseason, at least if they want to do anything, they're going to be buyers. I think Mike Vrabel is going to learn from his mistake Obviously, when he was with the Titans, letting AJ Brown walk for pennies on the dollar.
Oh, well, that wasn't him. That's front office.
But it doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter but when he found out about it, I think he's going to make sure that something like that doesn't happen. I think he's going
Oh
to
yeah.
try to set up his rookie quarterback, Drake May, with the best, he can.
Um, and then back to the Bengals. Joe Burrow did say he'd be open to renegotiating his contract to get that money
Yeah,
number down. And
yeah.
if you're the Bengals, I don't know why we're not paying Jamar. In the wide receiver group. It's 1A and 1B, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and then everything else flares out after that. I don't
Yep.
know what we're doing. They shot themselves in the foot not paying him before
Mhm.
this season. 100%, man.
Well, the fact
Um,
that, I mean, you look at wide receivers who got premium contracts in the NFL, and at least the duos out there. There's duos out there. I mean, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle.
hmm
That's a wide receiver duo. I believe combined, I think their cap hit is $48 million. You have AJ Brown, you have Devonta Smith. Their cap hit together is $45 million. Justin Jefferson obviously got paid. He deserves it. You know, CeeDee Lamb. Did CeeDee Lamb get his contract? Yeah,
He did, yeah.
yeah.
Him and Dak are
Again,
90% of the cap there in
yeah,
Dallas.
well, I mean, listen, but again, you have somebody like Joe Burrow, you can't have him throwing to the Walmart clerks, man. I mean,
Oh, so I made a hunch here.
okay,
I have I have a hypothesis, a conspiracy theory. So basically, uh, every 5 years, the wide receiver core in Cincinnati is going to be completely new faces. It's all
okay.
rookies. The Bengals will let Jamar Chase and T. Higgins contract expire and be like, all right, we're done with you. We'll just draft your replacement in the draft. Burrow, here's your next wide receiver core for the next 4 years. Make it work.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
my conspiracy theory.
you know what? You're not wrong. I like that. I like that conspiracy theory. It sounds like there's some merit to it. It seems like they're allergic to paying anybody on that team,
Except Burrow. Yeah.
except Burrow. I
At
mean,
least they got
listen,
that right.
yep.
Yeah.
I think we could call it though. I mean, Burrow has a lot of injury concerns, obviously. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there that have injury concerns.
Well, it's been 3 years and they can't get the offensive line right
Yeah, that's
in
the thing is
Cincinnati.
like, I mean, Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa suffer from the same problem, is that their O lines are so paper thin that they are going to be injury prone quarterbacks until you give them an O line, give them 4 or 5 seconds to throw on a deep route. Because you watch Joe Burrow's games when the first time he went in the playoffs against Tennessee Titans. Now they did win that game. They barely won
Hit
that game.
after hit after
He
hit after
he was
hit.
sacked 9 times against the Tennessee Titans.
hmm
This is not a flashy, huge, great team. This is the Tennessee Titans we're talking about in 2020. He
We're
was running
talking
for his
Ryan
fucking
fucking
life.
Tannehill. You
Yeah, come
know,
on. Yeah, exactly. So you're talking about him getting sacked and sacked and sacked. That's not sustainable.
and
And
that's
it's
not
so
counting
not
the
this.
hits he took.
Yeah, it's so not sustainable. You have to look at the season prior where Joe Burrow came out with injury with his wrist. You know, I mean, you look at some of the injuries. Justin Herbert got whacked in the ribs last season. This season he was playing a little bit banged up with his foot and his rib again. Again, O line, O line, O line. I mean, you look at some of the best O lines in the league. You look at the Eagles. Jalen Hurts has time to write a book back there, brother.
Jalen Hurts knows how to take off as well. That
Yes, he
guy is a
does.
player. That guy's a
That is a
baller.
great dual threat quarterback, and he deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, to the
Um,
Miami Dolphins point here, I'm looking up your cap situation here. It looks like you guys are 11 and a half under or over the
yep.
salary cap.
Yes, we are.
Are we getting rid of Jalen Ramsey?
No.
Okay.
So here's what you're going to do. The difference is here, and this is an open thing. You can look at media pundits who have talked about it. You can look at past thing. Stephen Ross, our owner, is not afraid to open up the checkbook. He is not afraid to say, "Hey," he's going to go to Chris Greer. He's going to say, "Hey, brother, listen, you got 7 players here that all have huge cap hits. You got Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, Jalen Phillips, Von Holland needs to get paid. You have all these people that need to get paid." And he's going to say, "Hey, go restructure all these guys. I'm going to write the check for them. And we're
hmm
going to just convert them all to bonuses and I'm going to hand them over."
There
Stephen
you go.
Ross has done this in the past. In fact, last season, you could look at a very similar situation. We came in, we didn't have much cap space. I think we had $5 million in cap space left coming into last season or this season prior, and we made it
hmm
work. We made it work. So again, I feel like it's going to be Another one of those situations. I don't think we let Javon Holland walk. Um, I think we're gonna keep Jalen Ramsey. He's a cornerstone of the corner depth that we have. We need a second corner to complement him because obviously you can't just target Jalen Ramsey the whole game because that's a death sentence for you. Um,
32 teams passed on Cooper DeJean the last draft.
yep. I will say that, Cooper DeJean was one of those kids I wanted. I really wanted him as a corner. I am very happy though with Chop Robinson. Um, listen, he was up for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he was in the talks of names like with like Verse, and I think that speaks volumes. If you look at his stats over the years, you could find the statistic he led all pass rushers with the highest pressure rate of any linebacker in the NFL. That is
Hmm.
crazy. That is crazy. His stats really don't show that he's like good, but if he's doing that in year one, I mean, next year is going to be huge for him.
Um, yeah, 100%. We'll see what the Dolphins do. To your point, yeah, convert
Yep.
everything to a signing bonus. Let's go ahead and jump around here around the league.
Yep.
Where does Aaron Rodgers play next season and why?
I mean,
Is it the Vikings? History repeating
no,
itself again?
I
Okay.
don't think I don't think history is going to repeat itself. I think the Vikings are smart. You give Sam Darnold some kind of small contract to keep him there for a couple of years. Um, have um, have him sit behind, or have JJ McCarthy sit behind him. I mean, listen, are you? I really think that, to be honest with you, as much as Joe Burrow got comeback player of the year, I think it should have been Sam Darnold coming back
Sammy
from
Dimes?
irrelevance. Yeah, I think him coming back from the depths of irrelevancy, he would have been my pick for comeback player of the year.
Okay.
But that's just me personally. Obviously, Joe Burrow coming back from injury, that's a better story. It's just like Jamar Hamlin coming back from literally dying on the field. It's a better story, and no hate on Jamar Hamlin. I'm really, really happy he's alive, and he's actually not a bad safety. He was ranked middle of the pack in the NFL the past year, but I really think that Joe Burrow. We know he's a baller. He's taken his team to the Super Bowl before. Sam Darnold's not necessarily a baller, but he took the Minnesota Vikings to 14-3 out of nowhere, out of left field. And this is a guy that's supposed to be holding the clipboard after being with the Jets and or
Yep.
being drafted by the Jets. That's the Jets' curse. Is you go and hold the clipboard. Look at what Zach Wilson's doing on the Denver Broncos, third string, hold the clipboard, and he's probably not going to play there next year. But to your question, where's Aaron Rodgers play? There's not many teams that need a quarterback. Um, really isn't, especially with those teams that need a quarterback like the New York Giants. Well, guess what? You get a high pick. You're in the Cam Ward, Shador Sanders sweepstakes here. The Titans could use him. I don't think he goes play for the Titans. I think he retires.
There's a lot of oh, excuse me. Just coughing up on bullshit here.
Yep. Hmm.
There's a lot of media speculation that's trying to plant Matthew Stafford with the Giants because
Okay.
Chad Hall, his brother-in-law, just got hired there as a wide receivers coach. So they're and Chad Hall, so obviously that's Stafford's wife's brother. So it's like, oh yeah, you can put Giants can go get Stafford, and then the Rams will sign Rodgers. Like, guys, come on,
What? That
stop it.
sounds that sounds a little far-fetched.
Yeah, and you're talking about Stafford going to the Giants, who can't doesn't even have an operating offensive line. He's gonna
Well,
retire after the second game.
listen, he will be back in MetLife. It's not like he has to go far.
That's fair. That is fair. Let's see. What about the Steelers? Everyone's trying to make the Steelers connection here
To the Pittsburgh Steelers,
for
no,
Rodgers.
I don't see Mike Tomlin doing that. I'm gonna say this as honestly as I can. I respect Mike Tomlin as coach. He's a defensive minded coach. They have the most expensive defense in the NFL. And on offense, name me a star that they've spent more than 10 million for.
Antonio Brown,
Okay. Let me rephrase. Name a star who's playing on their team currently that they've spent more than 10 million for on that offense.
George Pickens at 10.1 million.
Oh,
I
okay.
actually don't know what his contract is.
I think he's playing on his rookie deal still. Look up. Is he still playing on his rookie deal? I think he's still on his rookie deal. Maybe
Yeah,
Najee,
yeah, he 4 year, six point
4 year
seven
rookie
million
deal.
dollar contract. Yeah.
Yeah,
He-
there you go. So and George Pickens is he's having more fun beating the shit out of other people down the field.
yeah. Then
He
actually
runs his
catching the
route and
ball.
gets in front of a defensive back. He starts hitting him over the head.
Dude, yeah.
Like,
He
what
is
are you doing?
he's gonna need a reality check. Um,
Yeah.
all right, Mac. We asked this on the regular program. Two players that were fun to watch this season, either two players you didn't expect to produce, or two players that just came out of nowhere and just
hmm
sustained. Who were the two players that you liked watching this season?
So, two players that I like watching. I called this from the minute that he was drafted. I said he was going to be the best out of his draft class, and I think he's probably going to go down in history as the best of his draft class. Obviously, sophomore slump is a real thing. Obviously, we saw that with CJ Stroud, but I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels. He was absolutely so much
What
fun to
an
watch.
original pick.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Well, I'm sure somebody said Saquon Barkley for you or you guys. Okay. So again, Jaden Daniels just showed up, showed out, and this was a rookie. Everybody thought, all right, cool, you're going on the Commanders. Don't really have a decent O line yet. Their defense is muddy at best. This is a rebuild year here, but hey, let's see what the kid can do. Lights out. Went to the NFC Championship on
It was
his
Zach Ertz.
rookie year with Zach Ertz, you know, scary Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson Jr. You know, they need a couple more pieces in there. They're going to go far. I mean, you're talking about a real threat. You're talking about the two best teams in their division being the Eagles and the Washington Commanders. The
Yeah, and
Cowboys and the Giants have fallen into irrelevancy. Well, Giants have been there for a while ever since Eli Manning left, but the Cowboys, yeah, here we go to third or fourth place.
yeah, and they just hired what's his name, a head coach?
Oh, yes, Scottenheimer or whatever his name
Bri-
is.
Brian
But they just
Schottenheimer. That's right.
Schottenheimer, thank you. They just promoted him. And the way did you? I'd have to pull up the comment. But you could pull up the comment that Jerry Jones said. He was just kind of douchey about it. It's like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
it's like, I'm like, dude, that's not a glowing recommendation. That's like saying, yeah, he was there, and I didn't feel like going out and getting another guy.
Not to mention
That
that he was the offensive coordinator and he didn't even do the play calling. He was just there to hold the clipboard.
Well, that's good. That means he's going to have to hire somebody to hold the play, to hold the clipboard, or he's going to hold the clipboard. He's going to have somebody else do the play calling. I don't know who they're shopping for. The Cowboys even done anything this offseason yet? I haven't really seen anything um, yet about it. Uh,
Maybe just filling in some of the coaching vacancies, but that's all I can think of.
yep. And another player who really just impressed me. Um, I've thought about it really long and hard, and it was just kind of that. It was just kind of one of those things where okay, yeah, he's on my team.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
no,
Oh
listen,
man.
listen. No, yeah, he's on my team. Yeah, he's definitely but he's a legend among the teams he's played on, and he's been around the NFL for a long time. And if he retires after this year, hey, he had a great career. I really, really wish he would have gotten won a ring with somebody. I hope, if he's still got more in the tank, he goes to plays with somebody else if he doesn't come back to the Dolphins. Calais Campbell
No.
just
Okay.
stood on his head. He was always that guy out there. Um, he's a dog at 39 years old, and he was just kind of guy would always be involved in every sack, every breakdown that uh every breakdown against the O line. He was always there causing havoc.
Hmm.
Sometimes he didn't even have to make the sack. He would double team two O linemen, grab them both, and just open up for Zach Sealer, Chop Robinson, even Jalen Ramsey when he was running as a spy or the
Oh
fifth
yeah.
man blitz option. He's just so much fun to watch, especially at 39 years old, because the amount of dedication that he has to his craft. Listening to him talk about, how much he brings the team together. If you go back and listen to some of the interviews from the defensive minds or the defensive players on the Dolphins, just listen to how they talk about Calais. That's somebody you want on your team. That's somebody who you want to have, running it. And he's still got a lot in the tank, and he's still a great player, you know. So hey, Calais Campbell, like I said, I don't mean to go, on my team. And I thought maybe you'd think, oh, he's going to go A-Chan. He's going to go Jonnu Smith. He's going to go Chop Robinson. No, Calais Campbell is my pick on that one.
I've seen Calais Campbell in person when he was playing for the Jacksonville Jags. I was working at a hotel he was staying at and the team was staying at. They played the Broncos a couple years back.
Yeah.
My God, that guy is huge. That is a massive human being. I was in the meal room and just standing there watching these players get food, and oh my God, that is a massive human being. I would not want to be sacked or tackled by someone of his
No,
size.
no.
Wow. That's all I
Yeah,
gotta
he's
say
crazy.
about that. Um,
Yeah, he's crazy, dude. He's very down to earth the way he talks. He's very, very humble. He doesn't talk like he's the best thing since sliced bread, but
oh, he's humble. He's a humble guy.
He's, but if you look at the stats, he's top 15 defensive tackles left in the NFL, even at 39 years old. Got to give him credit where credit's due. You know, if he goes and retires, hell of a career. If he doesn't go and retire, even if he doesn't play for the Miami Dolphins, that's a person I'm rooting for. It's a person I'm going to watch closely because just his craft, his game, it's that old school football. It's very
Yeah,
clean. It's very, very tough. A
very
lot of
physical.
respect. Yep, a lot of respect for it.
All right. Well, Mac, we got the NFL season's concluded. 202 days until the return of football when the Eagles will
Yep.
open up against. I'm telling you right now, I think the Eagles are opening up against the Dallas Cowboys Thursday Night Football.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be a good one though. That's gonna be a good one because again, it's like it seems like every year they kind of just have a good opening game. Last year it was Detroit Lions versus the Chiefs. This past year was the Ravens versus the Chiefs, and to have the Eagles go up against the Cowboys, who the Cowboys were running the division for a long
Yeah.
time. It's going to be a good game. I think a healthy Dak with healthy CD Lamb. Hopefully they make some moves in the offseason. I have no faith that they will, but maybe they'll make it a good game. I hope they do. But Eagles are until somebody beats them, they're the team to beat this coming year.
Yeah, so 202 days until that game happens. We got the UFL coming up. UFL. I thought it started this weekend. No, starts March 28th.
Oh
Ah,
shit. That's another month, bro.
that's another month away.
Month and change. Yep.
Closest team for you is the Birmingham Stallions. So going through the
Okay.
teams here. Birmingham Stallions, the DC Defenders, Washington, DC, Memphis Showboats, the Michigan Panthers. You
Hmm.
might be rooting for that team just because of the name. Uh, Arlington Renegades, the San Antonio Brahms, Houston Roughnecks, and St. Louis Battlehawks. So basically the SEC,
Yep.
East Coast, Central Time Zone here. Um,
Hmm.
any thoughts on the UFL? Should we be tinkering with the kickoff again?
You know what? I like their kickoff. Um, I like their kickoff rules a lot. I think it's something that the NFL did adopt, at least partially. There is some truth in the matter that when you adopt that kind of kickoff, that you are going to have more returns, which does make for more exciting. It makes special teams a very important part
Oh yeah,
of a little bit more important part of the NFL. I mean, you could see that with the Dolphins last year. We ranked 32nd in special teams, very good, which is why we fired our special teams coordinator. But
hmm
I think it just provides a little safety blanket because when you have somebody getting the ball and you have these players that are running at top speed from the opposing 30 at you, you're talking about risk of injury. You're talking about it's simple physics, the amount of inertia that they're going to bring in. You catch that ball, there's somebody in your face within 1 second. You were talking about the huge risk of injury. Obviously, you can go back and look at the tape from the last 10 years. How many injuries have you seen from a special teams return kick? I could think of one injury that happened twice in the same game. It was actually with the Miami Dolphins 2020 when Brian Flores was our head coach against Cincinnati Bengals. Jakeem Grant was our punt returner at the time. He got steamrolled twice by the Cincinnati Bengals so hard. I think it took them out for the rest of the season to the point where the players actually both emptied benches and started almost fighting on the field from the hard hits. So
Good
when
times.
you're talking about player safety, there's a lot of importance that goes into that. I think it could set up potentially better return opportunities for players. And like I said, player safety is 100%. I don't think you tinker with it too much for the UFL. I think they got something good going with it, and I think you keep it.
What's ironic is so it was the XFL that started this kickoff that the
Yep.
NFL has been doing, and then last year or this previous season when the NFL changed to kickoff, and then the
Hmm.
UFL was formed, the UFL actually went to the traditional kickoff rule, and then the NFL took over their interpretation of the kickoff, where everyone's lined up at the 30 right there, kicker's by himself in the back.
Yeah.
Mm. I have one proposal I think the UFL should do, and I think it's
Uh-huh.
a fun one. I think so since the ball is getting kicked off from the opposing 30, the opposite 30, I think that if the kicker kicks the ball into the other uprights where the touchback is, that's 1 point.
Oh, that'd be great.
And then that just gets ruled a touchback, pull the ball out at the 25, and we start there.
Yep.
How about that? All
I,
right.
I'm with you. I mean, listen, how many times do you see like I mean,
Kind of
obviously
like a
you didn't see
modified
it
free
last year.
kick. Kind of like a
Yeah,
modified free kick.
well, you didn't see it actually a lot really last season because the opening kickoff, if you did not kick it within that box, it was a penalty, and I think the team got the start at 35 or 40. So,
Uh, no, it was if the ball didn't make it there, you could still kick it as a touchback. But if the ball didn't make it to the landing zone or something like that, like you muffed the kick
like it was
or something
short.
like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
short. Hmm.
yeah. And then yeah, so yeah, you can still kick touchbacks in the NFL, but I'm thinking if the kicker can get the ball into the other uprights, that's a point for them. And then, like I said, it gets ruled as a touchback anyway because it's in the end zone. They're not going to field it out of the end zone. Put the ball at the 30, good to go.
Hmm.
Also, we got to fix the onside kick. It's a
Yeah.
complete disgrace. Absolutely
The
terrible.
well, when you're talking about having to declare an onside kick, you're taking away from. All right, well, listen, you don't have to declare a fake on a punt. Why you got to
No,
declare fake on the onside kick?
and not to mention, the Chiefs were down all those points. I mean, what were the opportunities or what were the chances that could have been presented to them to potentially go for an onside kick in the third quarter? That's when they initially scored their first touchdown, was end of the third quarter. But by
Well, they tried
rule,
it on. Yeah.
well, but by rule, you can't declare an onside kick until the fourth quarter. So I would have, with them being down as many points as they were in desperation mode, who's to say they wouldn't have gone for an onside kick try in the third quarter when they scored? But by rule, they
Yeah.
couldn't.
Yeah. I think that they're going to tinker with that a few more times until they get it right. I think there's going to be conversations. Obviously the NFLPA likes to talk about player safety, and that's what they're going to do. And that's probably going to be the front runner for every single decision that's made in the NFL going forward. Obviously, like Roger Goodell was talking about, okay, we're going to go to an 18 game season.
Yeah.
And everybody in the Players Association and even the head coaches were like, yeah, you're out of your fucking mind.
I
Nobody
got
wants that.
I'll tell you what the fix is for that, okay?
Mhm.
But before that, I want to get back to the onside kick. I want. So I remember they said that you couldn't overstack one side, and that's when they started spreading it out, right? I want to see all the data that shows people getting injured in onside kicks, and I want to see all
Yeah.
the data about concussions and onside kicks. Is it because it's only 10 yards apart?
Yeah.
It's only 10 yards. I don't understand what the big. And then you pull out the issue. You pull out the surprise onside kick. When the Saints won their Super Bowl, remember the second half kickoff? They come out with a surprise onside kick, just pulled everyone off guard, And
Yep.
then McAfee did the same thing when he was playing against the Texans. He just does a little 10-yard onside kick because he saw how far back the return team was. He's like, oh yeah, just kick this to myself, get the ball back at the 10, boom, after 10 yards rolling, boom. So I think the onside kick's a dynamic play. They got to find a way to reintegrate. And I don't think the reintegration includes a fourth and 15 because what happens with fourth and 15? What happens if there's a defensive hold? Then that's an automatic first down on a quote unquote onside kick attempt,
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think one of the things of the onside kick that make it more fun, make it more doable, and make it more worthwhile to go for, you change the rule on how far that ball needs to travel. Take away
shorter.
10 yards, make it 5.
Oh,
That would be more exciting.
oh, 5 yards. Hey, if it's only 5 yards, that means the players are even closer to themselves. So now there's no concussions or injuries at that point, right?
Correct. You're talking about something that would maybe make it a little bit more worthwhile. It'd make it more entertaining to watch them
Oh my
scramble for it.
God.
You know, that's
Well, I'd
just me though.
say, what about this? Okay, I think we're onto something here. Okay, what if so the ball's lined up at the 30 and it has to go to the 40, right? For
Mhm.
the receiving team to be eligible to touch it, assuming it doesn't touch another player. What if we move the kicker back from the 30 to the 20, okay?
Mhm.
And then the receiving or the kicking team is lined up at the 30 and the receiving team is lined up at the 40. This gives like the kicker a legitimate chance to like kick a pop fly that has to roll or go about 20 yards into that receiving zone, right?
Yep.
The kicker has a little bit more room to kick it into the air for a pop
Yeah.
fly attempt. Oh, what about that?
I think
Oh,
that might be fun. Again, there's ways you could go about this. There's ways you could change it around. I like the idea of looking at it a few different ways and say, hey, we could do this, we could do that. I definitely think that should be an option.
or like the kicker is put back 10 yards and then you just see this opening gap in the kicking team so that it gives the kicker more time to get the ball rolling, and get a
Yeah,
high kick or something. I'm gonna have to call into McAfee and propose that, or Rich Eisen. I'm gonna have to propose that. You heard it
there
first.
you go.
You heard it here first, people. On opinions mostly. We're gonna make the onside kick great again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, but back to the UF. Oh yeah, so the 18 game point here. So here's how you fix it in the name of player safety. So Roger Goodell, he was on McAfee at the draft in Detroit talking about like, well, they asked him like, Commish, is it possible that we can just get the Monday after the Super Bowl off as just a national holiday? I think I think the whole country would just appreciate that. And
Yeah.
Goodell, and that's when Goodell dropped the first hint. It's like, well, the idea is to get the NFL to an 18th regular season game. That way, it pushes everything back, and then the Super Bowl will get pushed back to this upcoming weekend, which is President's Day weekend, which is
Mhm.
a 3-day weekend.
There you go.
Um, so here's how you fix with the 18th game. In my opinion, if you're gonna have an 18th game, you're gonna have to have a second bye week. Okay, that's just
Hmm.
that's just the bottom line, and the players' union will be fighting for that. So I think what you do is you just start the season like a week or two earlier. And I understand that's gonna clash with college football, but hey, football is king. NFL can literally take its dick and slap it on the table and do whatever the fuck they want. Okay, they took over Christmas Day from the NBA. They had more
Yep.
combined viewers than all the NBA games that were broadcast, and they only had two fucking football games on Christmas Day. And they were both on exclusive streaming platforms of Netflix and Peacock, right? Yeah, Peacock.
Yeah. Hmm.
It wasn't even on Fox or CBS. It wasn't on a traditional broadcasting
Wasn't even a
TV
prime.
channel. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. So I think you include an extra bye week. You put like the first bye at like around week 7, week 8, and the next bye around week 13, week 14, somewhere around there. That way,
Yep.
plenty of time to do that. And then you just move the regular season, or just you move to start a preseason. You basically shift the whole league schedule, move it ahead a week. Training camp, the OTAs, maybe even the draft gets moved ahead a week. Um, I think that's how you fix it for the 18th game, in my opinion.
I agree.
Okay, all right, all
I
right.
agree.
You like that? Yeah. See, opinions mostly, by
There
opinion,
you go.
mostly.
Mostly our opinions.
Anyway, we got the UFL coming up. You're gonna be rooting for the Birmingham Stallions.
Yeah. I don't really watch the UFL. I do have it on at work because I work as a sports bar. Obviously, I'm gonna have something on during that time. But usually when it comes on, obviously we're not really too interested in it because we got a lot of stuff going on with March Madness for that coming up because
Okay.
that just kind of bleeds into it a little bit. So we'll have it on. It's fun. Not many people really request it to watch. Maybe if there's more sports betting on it, people will ask for it. Um,
Oh,
you,
they do the odds like live, like they'll have the line live and the
yeah,
over under
that's
live
that's
on
what
the
I like about
screen,
that.
man.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they have the whole gambling part figured out, and that's how they're trying to bring viewers in, which is smart. The live
Yeah,
over unders, the live
appeal to
spreads.
the degeneracy of gambling.
Um,
So
looking at
you
it,
said he.
go ahead.
Mhm. I was gonna say. So what other sports? I mean, we talk. You talk a lot of football. We talk a lot of football. We're talking to UFL, NFL. We're talking SEC. We're talking all that. What about other sports? I mean, obviously, I'm not a big basketball person myself. And that's okay. The Heat are kind of in irrelevancy down here this year. The
Yeah,
Miami Marlins might as well not exist right now.
not even base.
But
Yeah,
yeah, but down here, Florida Panthers,
yeah.
they are very, very, very good.
First in the
Uh,
Eastern Conference, man.
First in the Eastern Conference currently, just came coming off of Cup win. Everybody thought, oh, they're going to have the Cup hangover, just like NFL teams have their Super Bowl hangover.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, it's so, but they're right now cup. Right now, they're not Cup favorites to go win, but they are definitely in the top five conversation going into the playoffs. Um, I think the Florida Panthers have some of the most play. I think they're the team with the most amount of individual players that are going into the Four Nations games. Which those of you at home have never heard of the Four Nations thing, even if you're a hockey fan. Basically, what they do is they take the four major nations of ethnicity that plays in the NHL, which is America, Canada, Finland, and Sweden,
Hmm.
and they take players from those countries that play in the NHL, the best players from those countries, and then they put them all together in a tournament. They play against each other. There's a game on tonight. I believe it's the United States versus Finland. That's going
Oh,
to be
okay,
very, very fun. But I believe the Florida Panthers have nine individual players on their team in the Four Nations tournament,
okay.
which I think
Hey,
leads the NHL, which is crazy.
hey, Canada better win this shit, okay? If they don't, there's absolutely no excuse at all for them to not win this, okay? They supply the whole rosters for all of these teams in America. They better win this. Oh, and some of Russian player. They better win this shit. No question to that. I do want to say, the Avs are not looking too shabby right now. We're up
Colorado
50,
Avs are doing pretty well. Yep. Listen,
57-33.
you guys have a hell of a goaltender in Mackenzie Blackwood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mackenzie Blackwood is one of the best goaltenders I think in the league. He slept on. He
Uh-huh.
came from the San Jose Sharks.
Yes.
Obviously, that was just one of those players that
And
came out, and it's like San Jose just wants to stay irrelevant, getting rid of that goalie because that's a goaltender that was keeping them, from getting scored on. And as soon as Blackwood went out of there, I mean, I think back-to-back games, I think the Florida Panthers dumped 7 goals on them, and I think the team prior, and I don't remember the team name, I think it might have been the Lightning, poured 8 on them. So to get outscored in 2 games, 15 to like 3, that's pretty embarrassing. But that just goes to show what you give up when you give away a goaltender like that. The
yeah,
Avs are doing very, very good. Colorado Avalanche is doing very good. Um,
we
there's a
just have
lot.
this. We have this no name center named McKinnon. I mean,
Listen,
you know,
McKinnon is
no big
incredible,
deal.
dude.
No big deal.
Listen, McKinnon is great. He's got a lot of speed. He's got a lot of gusto behind him. I think the biggest problem that the Avs have, I could name the biggest problem that every single team has. The biggest problem every single team has, and I think maybe the next time I'm on here, I'd like to talk about the biggest problem every single team in the NFL has. I think we could talk about that. But the biggest problem that the Avs have is outside McKinnon, you don't have a lot of playmakers. And if McKinnon's not doing much, it seems like Colorado just kind of stymies. They kind of just slow down,
Uh,
and you can't be a one-trick pony not in the NHL.
yeah, that's fair. How about the formerly the Coyotes, the Utah Hockey Club, which in my opinion, they just got to roll with that name and say, fuck it. We're going to be called the Utah Hockey Club. Kind of like the Commandos, that when they were called the Washington football team, I thought they
Yeah.
should have just rolled with that name. Like, that's badass. Like, hey, we are it's like the Buckeye, the Washington football team, or club. Hell yeah. Where are we at with the Utah Hockey Club? Do we have any ideas for new names for their team going into next season, which I presume they're
Yeah,
going to be
I
voting on?
think I think they have 3 names that are kind of hitting. The biggest 3 names are the Keep the Hockey Club name. There's
Oh, they
also
got to.
the Utah Mammoths, and then there is the Utah Outlaws, which I actually like the idea of the Outlaws. That's kind of rolls off the tongue pretty well. Pretty well when you're talking about
Utah.
Chance and Stadium. You know, usually 3 syllables. You know, "Let's go Outlaws." That's good. Quick chant. I mean, what's your chant for Utah? I think it's just Utah,
It should be
Utah.
UTC or UHC, Utah Hockey Club. UHC.
Yeah, it
Hey,
sounds like you're in high school.
we're
It
gonna
sounds
call
like,
this Mormon town a bunch of outlaws? Come on, that's not gonna fly over well with them.
absolute. I mean, oh,
They
listen,
order
listen.
they order their beverages as give me a Jack and Coke, hold the Jack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just give
I'm
me a
just
Coke. Make it a
yeah
diet too,
yeah.
with
Make it a
cherry
diet.
in it.
No, it's
Actually,
Friday night. Yeah, we're gonna make it a regular Coke.
yeah, regular Coke. You're not gonna get fancy. Actually, I'll take a Coke Zero. Nice cold Coke Zero. Listen, nice cold Coke Zero. Not definitely not sponsored, but hey, Coke, if you want
Hey,
to sponsor anything that we're talking about, give us a
that'd be
call.
great.
We'll even do
Hey,
RC Cola.
there we RC. Are they still in business? See here.
They are still in business. RC Cola is very much still in business. I saw
All
I
right,
saw the
they
other
are.
day. Yeah, I saw the other day they have a berries and cream cola, and that actually wasn't bad. So,
Oh man. Okay.
um,
I don't know
but no,
about that one, but all right.
yeah,
But Utah Hockey Club, are we thinking they have a chance in the playoffs here as
no, I
currently
think you're
constructed?
you're a brand new team. Let's just you know let's go get a good draft pick and start building up.
All
You
right.
got to start from the ground up. You're the new expansion team. You are the Seattle Kraken.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, I mean the Golden Knights. It only took them 2 years to win their, when they were expansion team.
well, yeah, but listen, you're Vegas. You got money.
Okay. Also, the owner of the Golden Knights. Let's see here. He's got deep pockets.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're in Vegas. You got money.
Uh, and plus, Vegas is the new hot commodity in sports. Bill
Yep.
Foley. Yeah, he's got a shit ton
Yeah.
of
Oh
money.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Listen,
and also their
listen.
GM is fucking stacked too. I mean, he knows how to put together a championship team.
Well, if
Oh,
you're a hockey team, the Raiders are not. They're not a good NFL team.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
I said, well, if you're a hockey team, you can't say the same for their football teams.
Oh,
Vegas Raiders are they're hitting the craps.
Kelly McCrimmon. That's the manager at the Golden Knight. Yeah, general manager.
Kelly McCrimmon, what a
He knows.
name.
He's put together a couple of teams. Well, yeah, the Raiders just got to figure out what they're gonna do. Well, they got Pete Carroll. My sense is telling me Russell Wilson will go there. I've seen enough mock drafts where I think Shador does fall to the Raiders. And but if I'm the
Hmm.
Raiders, I think I'd try to trade up a draft pick or two just to ensure that. But
Yep.
hey, maybe this will be the start of the culture builder they need. And Hammer Aaron, one of our regulars on the co-host here on Opinions Mostly, he's said he's not a fan of Russell Wilson, doesn't want to see him throw. He's like, hey, just don't like watching him play. He doesn't really play that good. My argument to him is like, hey, Russ will just be there as the backup. Okay. He's gonna be there to reinforce the culture that Pete Carroll wants to put in there. And I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Marshawn Lynch around the hallways a little bit more.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah,
Um, you know,
I agree with you.
we'll have to see what the Raiders do. They are allegedly going to take a crack at Sam Darnold, so we'll see. Well, it starts with that there. Well, Macaroni, I think we're going to wrap things up here.
All right.
Any
Yeah.
other last hot takes you have before we sign off?
Hot takes. Ooh. Uh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put this out there. This is the hot take, and we can discuss this on the next podcast. But a lot of people talk MVPs of their team, MVPs of the NFL. And here's a hot take here. MVP of a team is not the person with the best stats. The
Yeah.
MVP of a team is the person that if you take them out of that team, for whatever reason, injury, vacation, sabbatical, they stubbed their toe wrong. Doesn't matter. The team is infinitely worse with or without them. That is the reason why Josh Allen won the MVP over Lamar Jackson. And that is no disrespect to Lamar Jackson. He's an incredible quarterback. He's an incredible dual threat. So is Josh Allen. They are both dual threat quarterbacks. However, at the end of the day, if you took Lamar Jackson off of the Baltimore Ravens and put in their backup, versus if you took Josh Allen off of the Bills and put in
Hmm.
their backup, you would see a much bigger fall off from the Buffalo Bills than you would see the Baltimore Ravens.
Who is their backup? Is it Trubisky still? It is.
It's
Trubisky.
Mitch Trubisky, the kisser of titties himself, as he is. And that came from a tweet, I think, before he got drafted by the Chicago Bears. I think he put that he likes to kiss titties. So that's why he's the kisser of titties. But no, I think that's a hot take. And I think here's the biggest hot take out there. And this is, if you look at the entirety of the 2020 quarterback draft class, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, and Jordan Love. They are all the MVP of their team. Because if you were to take them off of their team due to injury or otherwise, their team would fall very, very hard. And I think that it's not to say that anybody's better than anybody else. I'm not comparing quarterbacks here. In fact, there's obviously quarterbacks that you have Joe Burrow's gone to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts has won the Super Bowl and gone twice. Tua has played one season healthy. Justin Herbert's played more seasons healthy, but has a lot of personal accolades. Jordan Love has won a playoff game over Tua and Herbert. I'm not comparing them on that. I'm just simply saying that they are the MVPs of their team because when they are not on the team, when they are not playing, there is a definite shift in production from their offense and from their team as a whole. And that is why quarterbacks who got paid because they are truly the MVP of their team. And that's all I got for that.
You know who the MVP is of the Rams, or was the MVP of the Rams?
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald, baby.
Aaron Donald. Come on, man.
Exactly where I'm going with that.
Who do you think I am? Who do you think I am?
Who do you think you are? I am.
I am.
On that note,
right, Joe.
Opinions mostly. We'll be signing off here. Mac, we'll see you on the Discord later, I suppose.
Yes, sir. You will see me on there after I change my shirt because it's very hot in Florida wearing this jersey. I don't understand how in this climate you can wear any jersey anywhere unless you go to the Panther Stadium because these things cold.
How about that?
How about that?
All right. Take care,
right.
Mac.
Take care, Joe.
We'll see you guys on the next one.
Later.